Good afternoon. Well, I had a request from a viewer a while ago to cover something I don't normally do, and that's look at American film and television. But given that I've been branching out recently and looking at the cinema and television series of other countries, I thought might as well do this. We're going to look at what is probably one of the most successful films of the 1970s, barring things like Star Wars, the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy, although I use the trilogy a little bit loosely because the other two films in the series, they're not very good.
You heard about the legend of Jesse James and John Henry, just to mention some names. Well, there's a truck driving legend in the South today, a man called Bandit from Atlanta, GA. Ever give Jam a knows his name. They swear he got ice water running in his veins. A foot like lead and nerves like steel. He's gonna go to glory riding 18 wheels. Oh boy. Left Atlanta back in '63, hauling him a load up to Tennessee. He hit Mount Eagle in a driving rain, so hard he couldn't even see the passing lane. Well, he started down the grade when he lost a gear. He hit them brakes, found he had no air. The Mount Eagle grade is steep and long, and everybody that seen him thought the bandit was gone. Awesome. Well, his truck jackknife turned completely around. He was coming down backwards about the speed of sound. A lot of folks seen him and they all say he had his head out to win the hill and clear the way. Got to the bottom, safe and sound. Everybody asked Bandit how he made it down. He said, folks, when the truck picked up too much speed, I just run along beside it and drug my feet. You heard the legend of Jesse James and John Henry, just to mention some names. Well, there's a truck driving legend in the South today, a man called Bandit from Atlanta, GA. Every year Jam knows his name. They swear he's got ice water running in his veins. A foot like lead and nerves like steel. He's going up to glory riding 18 wheels. Oh, tell me.
I think I can take these sunglasses off now. Smokey and the Bandit is about a bet that two chaps make two rich people in Atlanta, who are known as Big Enos and Little Enos. One is a father, one is a son. And they bet two people. The snowman, whose real name is Cletus Snow, I think. He's played by Jerry Reed. And the bandit, whose real name is Bo Darville, which I didn't know before researching for this particular video, to go to Texarkana in Texas and drive back with a huge quantity of Coors beer in the space of 28 hours to the sort of what is it that they're at? It's some kind of sort of exhibition ground type thing, because they want to celebrate winning in a car race, I think. So the idea is that the bandit drives his 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am as a distraction from the main load, which is going on in a Kenworth truck driven by a snowman. Along the way, they encounter a lady by the name of Carrie, also known as Frog, for reasons I'm not entirely clear about, who is supposed to be getting married to a gentleman by the name of Junior, who is the son of a sheriff, Sheriff Buford T. Justice, from Texas, and because Buford T. Justice believes that the bandit has stolen his son's bride, whereas she kind of really left of her own accord. He decides to pursue the bandit and the truck all the way back to Atlanta, picking up various other police forces on the way and indulging in various hijinks. I didn't understand for many years why on earth the beer was contraband, but it seems that until relatively recently, Coors beer was not sold to the east of Oklahoma, or in this case it's a place called Texarkana in Texas. And so to get hold of this beer, the big and little Enos want to celebrate the racing, they have to get somebody to go and fetch it from another state a long way away. And that's really the thing, and they get a huge amount of money for doing this. They use the resources that they have available to them, such as the CB radios. Bandit 1 and Bandit 2 are the two vehicles used to do this. I suppose it's kind of smuggling in some way. At least it's running contraband. And then you have little call signs along the way. The one I remember most of all is Little Beaver, make of that what you will. And Eastbound and Down, which was the song composed for the film, was written by Jerry Reed himself, and he was the co-author of the score for the film. And Eastbound and Down means you're going east, and down is what you kind of say at the end of a TV transmission, which I didn't really realise. I must admit, I'm pretty naive about the things in these Smokey and the Bandit films. I just thought they were kind of stupid and fun, and they are stupid and fun. Unfortunately, they get too stupid, which we'll talk about when we go into the second film. And the reason why I want to talk about all three films today is literally because I never want to talk about parts 2 and 3 again. They were really bad. Terrible films, which I think most people agree, but Pontiac kept putting money up or just supplying the producers with cars, and so we'll see a very heavy Pontiac bias as we look at these three films together. So the car that really dominates the first of the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy is a 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am with the decal package. Now, I've read different things about the cars that they use. I think they used about 4 of them. Some people say that they were all 1976 models with a 1977 front end. Some people say that there were 3 1977s and 176 dressed up to look like a 77 model. But one thing I do know, they used one of the cars in the very famous bridge jump stunt that appears, I think, about halfway through the film. And that car was completely written off, almost destroyed. And so they got that one was bad. The other 3 continued, and by the end of filming, they were using spare parts from the other cars to keep one of them running, and it barely made it to the end of the to the end of the filming, which is interesting. Same thing with the cars that were used by the police force that we'll get into a little bit later. Just an iconic car, really, this 77 Trans Am. everything about it. You know, the T-top roof, which I think was optional extra on those. The Trans Am, I think, was the highest trim level of the Firebird. The cars that are used in the Rockford Files are sort of similar to this, actually, because Rockford Files lasted until 1980, and they kept supplying James Garner with Pontiac Firebirds and that as well, although for the last few years he didn't want to go for, I think, the 79 models. He wasn't so keen on the 1981, so he quite liked the 77 models like this one. But that was a lower trim level, or cars made it look like a lower trim level vehicle, the Esprit. But the Trans Am, yeah, there's not much more to say really. It just makes the film. It is almost as much a star of the film as Burt Reynolds is, and you know, Burt Reynolds' ego, I should say, because I gather he was you know, one of those sort of people. The truck, again, a huge part of the film. A 1974 Kenworth W900A. I've never seen so much speculation on the internet as to model years for this particular type of lorry. I think there were two 1974 or one 1975 models used in Smokey and the Bandit. I wouldn't like to be sure about that, but you know, that's as much as I can say. I don't know really anything about these big trucks. If you want to talk about big American lorries, ask Mr. Coleman, Rubbish Mechanic. He knows all about that sort of stuff. I don't know anything about them, other than, you know, that they look big and imposing, and in License to Kill, Timothy Dalton drives one, and it's quite good fun. That's all I know. But again, it's an iconic design of truck, iconic trailer unit on the back with the mural on it. Just, you know, it's a piece of pop culture. Next car we need to talk about as well, because again, this is something that appears all throughout the film pretty much. After Carrie, or Frog, she's not kidnapped by the bandit. She sort of, I think, agrees to go with him, sort of. I don't know. But we won't talk about sort of finer nuances of whether someone was going willingly or not today. But the Buford T. Justices, junior and senior, the police car owned by the sheriff. It's a 1977 Pontiac Le Mans, which I think they used two of those. Obviously, by the end of it, the car is in a very, very sorry state. Really sorry state. I'm surprised it even moved by the end of it. I don't know whether in America they actually really do have brown police cars, but you know, there we go. That's just the way that it is. The car that Big Enos and Little Enos have, and at the end of the film gets stolen by the main trio to go and do another interesting bet, is a 1974 Cadillac Fleetwood Eldorado. Huge, big, massive thing, in red, probably about the size of a small building. Not the most economical car in the world, but you know, there we go. Probably good for a nice little run. I think it's similar to the thing that that is used in oh gosh, what's that? Is that film with Benicio del Toro? I can't remember, but I'm sure lots of you will know what I'm talking about. Similar to that one, I think, although maybe a different model year. Some of the other cars used in Smokey and the Bandit, there's an awful lot of them, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but just some that I've noticed that are prominent are a 1973 Dodge Polara. That's Georgia State Trooper cars. I don't think they destroyed as many police cars in Smokey and the Bandit as the Blues Brothers, but they certainly destroyed quite a lot of them. There's a 1975 Plymouth Fury that is driven by the Arkansas police. I think as well it's sort of chops and changes between another car that I'll mention a little bit later. That's a blue car. There's another 75 Plymouth Fury used by the Mississippi police. That's a white one. In all these I'm talking about, there are very often multiple cars used. They would have bought from maybe police departments and used in the film. There's not just one all the time. Then another 77 Pontiac Le Mans. Georgia State Police has one of those, and so do the Folsom, Arkansas. The Arkansas one is blue with a white roof. The Georgia one is sort of blue all over. Again, a lot of them just do get a bit knackered. Dear oh dear.
Keep it on the ground when I put that hammer down, and I'll be Texas bound and a-flying. I got my tin in the wind, let it all hang out again. 'Cause how you gonna win if you ain't trying? Well, now we're all back together, and we're burning up the road, and that old sheriff's out there dogging us again. He thinks he's really got it cooking, plans to do a lot of booking. The only trouble, he keeps looking where we've already been. So if I can keep it on the ground when I put that hammer down, then I'll be Texas bound and I'm flying. But if you hold them burger pits down for one more lap, son, mean you're going to be $20,000 richer.
Onto the white line with one lap to go.
Going to keep it on the ground. I'll be Texas bound and a-flying. I got my tin in the wind, let it all hang out again. 'Cause how you gonna win if you ain't trying?
Like that. Off the high bank here at the Atlanta International Raceway. There's your leader. In the back straightaway, Clinton Snow. The snowman out in front. Coming down into the back straightaway. Snow with a big advantage. 20 to speed, still running. Oh, where's the stop? Did it all. Special K, Kenny Farmer. Launches it. Down the wall. 100,000 runs the bomb. Kenny Farmer skittering down the apron of the Atlanta International Raceway. Truck demolished, but he's going to walk away. Farmer is all right. On turn number 4, the big iron coming down to the finish. The Jimmy General out in front at the end of 200 miles, all bunched up. Coming down to the finish line, your winner will be Georgia Snowman. Cleveland Snow is pulling it on. Snow crossing the line in full, like GMC taking home.
Hey, Fred, you ever see a check that big? I'm going to use that and get you a facelift. Oh.
So let's go on to Smokey and the Bandit 2. Dear. Instead of contraband beer this time, it's actually an elephant, name of Charlotte, I believe. Again, big Enos and little Enos ask the crew, the Bandit and Snowman, to go and transport this elephant very quickly. They are assisted by a chap called Doc, who is played by Dom DeLuise. I don't like the character of Doc or Dom DeLuise particularly, but he's there and I have to talk about him. For some reason, Carrie, or Frog, played by Sally Field once again, she has decided to try to give the wedding to Sheriff Buford T. Justice's son, Junior, a go again, but she abandons him and decides to join them to go and help them with this elephant. Logic of these films doesn't really make much sense to me, but you know, there you go. Burt Reynolds again, Jerry Reed again, although he doesn't have quite the same prominence in the music he did in the first one. I don't think he composed much of the soundtrack, which he sort of co-composed in the first one. And of course, Buford T. Justice is out again to get these chaps for, well, breaking the law and also ruining Junior's wedding plans. So they have to cope with being chased by the police and also having custody of an elephant. Dear, oh dear. Right, anyway, let's talk about some of the cars that are used in Smokey and the Bandit 2. 1980 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Turbo 4.9 litre. I gather this wasn't a great engine that they had in these late second generation Pontiac Firebirds, but you know, different front end again this time, still a T-bar roof and basic body design that dated right the way back to 1970 actually. So you know, reasonably old design by the time this film was made. I used 4 of them, you know, big jumps and everything again, took the toll on the cars. There is a nice new truck for Snowman this time. You see him racing trucks at the beginning of the film, which you would have just had in the title sequence there. Hopefully YouTube doesn't block that. Sometimes they do block things like that. And yeah, it's a 1980 GMC General truck, which I suppose is nice. This time, Buford T. Justice Sheriff's Department car is a 1980 Pontiac Bonneville, although it is substituted in some scenes for other cars, as we'll see a little bit later. The main other police car that you notice in this film is a 1973 Dodge Polara. It's similar, really, or at least for sort of things like the Furies and Polaris and things. They always remind me of the 1977 Dodge Monacos that he used in A View to a Kill, but you know, we'll talk about those another time, of course. So, some other cars you see in Smokey and the Bandit 2 are a 1971 or 2. There seems to be some debate about this. Pontiac Bonneville or Granville. It's one of the cars that replaces the 1980 Bonneville in the film and stands in for it, because the car isn't like kind of this and flat. It's kind of like a triangle shape by the end of the film. It's all very silly. There's also a 76 Bonneville, which I think stands in for the 1980 car again at some point in the film. There is a 77 Pontiac Le Mans, which I think is one of the wedding cars that is used at the second attempted wedding of Frog and Junior. Oh dear. Right. Jackie Gleason plays one of Buford T. Justice's relatives from Canada in this film. And he brings along a cohort of cars which are all red 1980 Pontiac Le Mans models. I've read on the internet, and this does make sense if you see the film, that Pontiac was going to deliver a huge number of cars, the Grand Le Mans and Le Mans, to a rental agency, but they didn't have air conditioning, and whose fault that was I don't know, whether the rental company didn't specify air conditioning on their order form or Pontiac accidentally made lots of cars without air conditioning, and they, rather than taking the cars back to the factory to retrofit air conditioning to all of them, or sending someone out to fit air conditioning to them, they thought it was actually cheaper to sell all these brand new cars to the production company to use as police cars in the film. So the Canadian relative, who's played by Jackie Gleason, as well as Sheriff Buford T. Justice, has the red 1980 Le Mans cars, and another of his relatives is called Gaylord, lady called Gaylord. she has a fleet of 1980 Pontiac Grand Le Mans police cars. Yeah. Let's move on to Smokey and the Bandit 3.
Buford T. Justice, fearless law of Texas, man who chased the bandit coast to coast. Buford T. Justice, now you up left us. Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most? Some say you're a lunatic, some say you're a buffoon, some say you're a fool with a gun. You never caught the bandit, though you stuck to him like glue. Now who'd have thought you'd walk away before the job was done? Cause you're Buford T. Justice, fearless law of Texas, man who chased the bandit coast to coast. Buford T. Justice, now you up left us. Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most? To your ego, a legend in your mind. Serve and protect, that's been your word. But can you stand to sit it out when pride's on the line? And what about the bandit was the last thing that you heard? You're Buford T. Justice, fearless law of Texas, the man who chased the bandit coast to coast. Buford T. Justice, now you have left us. Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most?
Just like some old gray racehorse you've been putting to graze. They say over the hill now you can see your better days. Like that old racehorse, you still hear that bell. And a hot chase was heaven. Now the good life is hell.
Those outlaws and the weirdos with hair. You stood for law and order all the way. Now you're standing on your records, but does anybody care? You're still known as the boo-boo, let the big one get away. Cause you're Buford T. Justice, fearless law of Texas, the man who chased the bandit coast to coast. Buford T. Justice, now you've up left us. Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most? Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most? Where are you, Justice, when we need you the most?
Okay, so you've seen the silly title sequence from Smokey and the Bandit 3. How do I explain this? Big Enos, Little Enos, they contact the retired Buford T. Justice, he's now living in Florida, and they ask him to transport a fish mascot to the new fish restaurant they want to open from Florida. And at the same time, they ask Snowman to adopt the disguise of the bandit and chase them. I really don't know why. Originally, this film was going to be called Smokey is the Bandit, and Jackie Gleason was going to play the bandit and Sheriff Justice at the same time. That film doesn't exist anymore because it was broadcast. It was shown in front of test audiences in 1983, and it didn't do very well. I'm not really surprised about that. And they replaced all the scenes which Jackie Gleason had appeared in as the bandit with Snowman, Jerry Reed playing the bandit. So he wears the hat and the shirt and a moustache, and he drives a 1983 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. It doesn't look as iconic as the previous generation. It looks more like the car from Knight Rider. In fact, they are quite similar, apart from some detailed differences. But let's continue. Right. Buford T. Justice and his son Junior, who's played by an actor called Mike Henry, I believe. They drive a 1982 Pontiac Bonneville, which you would have seen gets a bit trashed, just like everything else. Little Enos and Big Enos, they have a 1975 Fleetwood Eldorado this time. And there's also a truck in this film, a nice old one, although the trucks aren't very prominent in Smokey and the Bandit 3, and the budget's a lot lower, so yeah, make of that what you will. It's a 1958 Chevrolet Task Force Viking 40. I don't really know anything about those, but I'm sure some of you out there will. So let's finish up the cars of Smokey and the Bandit 3. The Ku Klux Klan, for some reason, get involved in the chase, and they do get their comeuppance, which is right for the Ku Klux Klan. But they're going around in a 1981 Dodge Power Ram W Series conventional cab, which is a very long thing to say. There's also a 1982 Ford F350 regular cab, which is like a sort of tow truck. You do see Snowman driving a truck very briefly in the film, and it's a Peterbilt 359. I'm not sure the model year. It again looks kind of similar to me to the one he has in the first film, the Kenworth. But then again, I don't know much about American trucks, so yeah. But then he switches to the Trans Am when he puts on the Bandit costume. There's also in this film a police car, which is a 1976 Pontiac Le Mans. There's not that many police cars in this film in comparison to the other ones, probably because they ran out of budget and ran out of imagination. So there we are. That was the cars of Smokey and the Bandit 1, 2, and 3. Dear oh dear. First film, good. It's really entertaining. Second film, not good. Third film, not good and very confusing. That's my summary of them, and I don't want to talk about this other two. The first one, yes, definitely worth watching in 2020. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for more enlightening commentary on all sorts of pre-2000 television and films with cars in them. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment below. I'm sorry if I got names wrong and, don't know much about this sort of stuff because I just don't. But anyway, please visit my Facebook page, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, and my Instagram page, instagram.com/Lloyd_vehicle_consulting. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching.